I'm a researcher at the Universitat Autònoma de Barcelona at the Institute of Environmental Sciences and Technology. And I'm going to explain you a little bit about the superblocks. So the superblocks is an idea that it is not coming from Barcelona, but it has been applied here. So that's why it's always Barcelona, kind of a big center of attention when talking about the superblocks. And the idea, as you can see here, is to establish a hierarchy in the roads in order to make urban space available for pedestrian use, to have more space for greening and for facilities so that people can stay and enjoy the street, like benches or tables or playgrounds or all these things. So in Barcelona, you will see later in a map, but there is a big part of the city which is a grid, the Eixample. So the issue here is that all the streets are the same, and so it doesn't matter for a car, for example, to go either this street or this street, or they just need to get the right direction and they're good to go. So that creates that many of these streets are actually roads, urban roads, no? So the idea is to move towards here. And so establish that these roads in black are those that are for people who want to get through, that they're moving somewhere else. And the streets inside, the ones in green, are only for people who want to get into this specific part of the streets and the houses there. So for this, they decide to change the ways of the streets. And so cars, if they are coming this direction, they have to turn left, and they have to turn left again. So they have to get out. They cannot go through the superblock. And this happens in any other street that you want to move. So actually, traffic flow is not banned in most of the cases, but it's just diverted. So only the people who really need to get there are the ones who can go through. And of course, there's usually there's space allocated for bikes in some occasions, but that also depends on the street or on the case. The bikes can go through both directions because usually they convert the street to just one unique platform without sidewalks, and this means in Barcelona that bikes can go both directions. And for ambulances or distribution of goods, there's also a lot of space. And so, well, that's always facilitated the circulation in these cases. As you can see, actually, superblocks started happening many years ago. So here we see that the oldest one is in عنوان in 1993, and then the one of Vila de Gracia in 2003, and Poblenou was also the first experiment of this grid, because these other two parts are kind of old towns, so they have very small streets, and they are not a straight line. So, well, kind of there were the first places who started being pedestrianized, and in some way they were also called superblock. As you will see, the concept of superblock has moved, and it's not this 3x3 grid and hierarchy of the grid so clear, but actually just diverting the through traffic on one specific area. And so the cars that want to go through, they don't go in a straight line. And this inside is changed, reshaped so that it has more green and has more pedestrian life. So Poblenou was kind of the first trial of this 3x3 grid, but it also kind of changed, and it went through all different phases and places. One interesting thing is that at the beginning, these are examples here in the left. It's a sample of this Poblenou, what was one trial that was done with tactical urbanism. And that meant that it was like an experiment because it was cheap. So they just implemented this change to see how it worked with the neighbors. It was actually neighbor that didn't have a lot of traffic. So it was chosen by the town hall to be a trial of what would that mean. And later here in the right, we see another tactical urbanism intervention that well, that is actually in a place that has a lot of shops and restaurants and a lot of street life. No, and that one soon was converted through like hard refurbishment infrastructure. But as here, it also started as a tactical urbanism. And this is actually how it looks like now with the final refurbishment. And as I said before, that the idea has take other shapes. And actually now the last thing that was implemented on Superblocks in Barcelona, it looked more like just a line, which was called the green axis. But the idea here is the same, that this is actually just like we're looking into these streets that were inside the Superblock, no? That they are meant for the people to sit, to enjoy, to have less cars around and noise. And so here we can see this green axis where cars are still allowed, but they cannot go in a straight line. They always have to go diverted, either left, either right, depending on the way of the street that is coming. And so this street is taken again for people, for pedestrians, for going. And so even though the idea of Superblock is kind of clear now, and it started these 3x3 blocks, the idea is actually to implement it in a wide scale. So this was a proposal to implement more green axis, as we've seen, this street, more for people, and to convert it to other streets. But it also meant smaller interventions in some key streets that were connected with streets that already were highly pedestrian. And so at the end, the idea was to just make more difficult the car circulation in some streets that could be focused for the improvement of the people walking and enjoying the street either than moving by car. And this was a whole implementation plan of many other things that were going to happen. The thing is that this urban intervention has been highly politicized, even though it actually started many years ago, even with conservative parties, political parties. It has always been changing names every time a new political party entered and implemented related things. And it was in the last mandate of our previous mayor that it became even more politicized. And actually, the people who took over now the city council were quietly, vividly against this Superblocks idea. So in this term, nothing else has been happening. And as I said, they always change the name and they try to make them their own project for this, for their own political and project inside their political mandate.